Hey everyone, this is DyanaRozay. Welcome to my channel. I have a commentary and recap for Love and Marriage Huntsville. This is season 5, episode 2, or season 4, episode 17, however you want to call it. This was actually a really good episode. I give it an A++. You guys go ahead, like this video, subscribe to my channel, and as always, I appreciate you guys for rocking with me. So let's get started. So the scene picks up exactly where it left off. Dr. Francis tells Louis and Tiffany that they play a game when it comes to their marriage. Basically, they're being dishonest or fake. And he said, when you guys are discovered, then you play a new game. And the new game is that you're not playing a game. Louis said, are you saying that our marriage is fake? Dr. Francis is like, you tell me. In confessional, both Tiffany and Louis said, we do not like Dr. Francis. We don't know what his credentials are. We don't know why he's coming at us like this, but we don't respect him. Then you guys, Marceau and Tisha are feeling themselves in their 16-year marriage so much that they have a confessional during Louis and Tiffany scene, okay? Marceau says he has as many issues with couples therapy as anybody else. However, he's willing to listen. Now in season 3, when Tisha tricked Marceau into going to therapy, Marceau was pissed. He was looking at Tisha like he wanted to spit on her, literally. And he did not have any respect for anything that Dr. Francis had to say. But okay, Marceau. But Louis and Tiffany are feeling the heat from the Scotts, and in an effort to squash everything, they actually apologized to Marceau, said, we understand that we put you in a bad situation. We are sorry. Marceau and Tisha accepts their apology, but Kimmy does not. She is still fighting on behalf of her brother-in-law, and she lectures them for about a good 7 minutes, okay? It took up the entire scene. She said, I don't like y'all energy. I don't like y'all responses. Basically what she was saying is, I don't like y'all, and if you put our names in your mouth again, I'm gonna whip your ass personally. That's what it felt like. Then Louis apologized to Kimmy, and for what, I'm not sure, because all he had to say was, I've already talked to Marceau, we've worked it out. Whatever your feelings are, get over him, but he's not built like that, so it is what it is. So in the next scene, we have Melody and Miss Marlene. They said they have not spoken to each other in over a year, okay? And this scene was actually just a little bit awkward because you can tell that even though they were happy to see each other, they were also very much going to stand their ground. And they did, but Melody actually took the high road here, and let's get into it, y'all. So Melody just comes right out and say, have I ever done anything to you? Out of the way. And Mama Holt says no. And Mel says, do you know what happened to get us here? And she said, yeah, the text message. And they actually gave us a text message, y'all. Mel said, your son is a liar. You have upheld Martell for a very long time and not made him take any responsibility. Since day one, been nothing but good to you and fair when it came to you. Y'all enjoy and do what y'all do. Don't text back because I'm blocking you too. Then they do a flashback of Miss Marlene calling Melody lazy and saying that she was going to kill her boy. And Melody said, I have never been lazy. Marlene stood her ground and said, well, I said what I said, basically. Melody then went into this whole thing where she was like, okay, I was so lazy. I wasn't doing nothing. Okay, your son was waiting on me hand and foot. I didn't have businesses to run or kids to raise. Okay, fine, Miss Marlene. Then Melody said, I have never been lazy a day of my life. I'm not even lazy now. Then she said, the funny part is you used to come over to our house when we were married and say, both of y'all need to slow down because y'all doing too much. You're going to hurt yourself and things like that. She said, and I told your son that. I reminded him about that. And he actually agreed and said, you did used to say those things. But for whatever reason, Mama Holt was not budging. In confessional, Melody said, you know what? Mama Holt's going to take up for her son. It is what it is. I'm just going to move on, okay? Mel said, it's a new day, so we're going to start anew. She said, I'm going to unblock you. She showed her phone and said, I even still have you saved as Mama Holt. Mama Holt said, you don't have to unblock me. Just come by the house. And Mel said, I won't ever just stop by, but I definitely will give you a call. We can go have lunch with the kids. Mama Holt was grinning from ear to ear. It actually made her day. And it was actually cool to watch, but I said in my last review that Mama Holt's opinion is like a windsock. So we'll see if she can keep it up, okay? Next scene. So we're back at the retreat, and Dr. Francis wants to do an exercise called Heart to Heart. He tells the couples that he wants honesty no matter what the cost. And he said, if you're not going to be honest, don't even sit in the chair. And then he calls the Whitlows. Now, the Whitlows have been in the hot seat for a minute, but Scott 1 and 2.0 are definitely going to have their turn. So Dr. Francis tells Tiffany that she had a real emotional moment when they discussed the loss of her biological parents, her adoptive parents being on drugs, and her first husband, who she also said was her soulmate and apparently passed away. Y'all remember she told Melody that in the first half of season 4. But Tiffany told Dr. Francis that he was scratching at old wounds that she hadn't thought about in years. Then Dr. Francis put his finger in the air like, see girl, you already lying. Those wounds are very present right here and right now. Then he asked if anyone else in the group had recently experienced a loss. And y'all know that Tisha came in hot, her and Marceau, when they were late and said that their friend, they just got the call that their friend died. So Tisha had to raise her hand. But when I tell you the look on Tisha and Marceau's face, then Marceau puts his arm around her and whispered something, whatever it was, it felt dishonest, okay? And by the way, the current season started filming in May, and it wrapped sometime in August. So the passing of Tisha's friend happened somewhere at the end of March, early April. So that whole thing about them being late because they just got the call that Tisha's friend passed was not true. Anyway, Dr. Francis focuses on Louis. He tells him about a loss he had with his father. He gets emotional and starts to cry, and Dr. Francis says it's the first time he saw any humanity from Louis. Then he kicks it right back to Tisha. I hope that Tisha and Marceau got a chance to watch these scenes because they are not good actors. They're not good improv actors. They are truly better off at being their authentic selves, okay? Even if it comes off bad. But Tisha says, I had a good friend from college who passed away. She loses her train of thought. Marceau kicks right in. He's like, yeah, it happened suddenly. And, it was unexpected. She died in her daughter's room. The daughter's 3 months. He's like giving the full story. And Kimmy and Maurice are sitting there staring at them. And I'm thinking, Kimmy, you just lectured Tiffany and Louis for not being transparent, for not answering questions honestly, and feeling like, y'all basically lying. And here you are sitting beside your brother-in-law and your sister-in-law, watching them lie and basically standing 10 toes down. So good for you. But just so you know, for everyone who was watching, it looked and sounded like a lie. So the next scene is Mama Holt and Martell. She comes into the room and the job is to rehash what was discussed between her and Mel. Mama Holt says, at the end of the day, it's all about the kids and it's all about respect. Because if you don't have respect, you don't have nothing. And I thought that was an interesting choice of words, especially to Martell, because we've already seen that boy said, go on ahead and hold my beer, because if you thought what I did in the marriage was disrespectful, you just wait. Then Marlene tells her son that she met with Melody, okay? And she's actually joyful in her telling. She basically said we hashed out everything that had to do with the text message. And he was like, really? And she was like, yeah. And he was like, I'm surprised because she was real disrespectful in that text. And Mama Holt said, well, honey, that was coming from a place of hurt. I'm a woman, so I understand that. And I won't hold it against her. And the second them words came out of her mouth, there was something in Martell's face that just shifted, okay? He felt like he was losing control of his mama. He wants her on his side completely, even though he was like saying the words, oh, well, I'm happy to hear that. Oh, that's good. Da-da-da-da-da. That's not what his eyes were saying. Then he said, well, I'm happy Mel could be positive. Mama Holt said, Mel will always be my girl. She was calling me Mama Holt before she even thought about marrying you. Child, Martell's head started spinning around like something in The Exorcist, okay? He was spitting out green pea soup at that point. He was just pissed. He loves to say that Melody's negative, but you can see who the negative one is, okay? Let's get back to Louis and Tiffany. Louis is still crying about his father. He was not there for him emotionally or physically present all the time because he was working and things like that. He's trying to tell this to Tiffany. Tiffany interrupts him And you can see that Louis is kind of upset about it. He starts shaking his head like, damn, is there ever a moment where I could just talk to you? But Tiffany is not trying to hear it. I don't know if she's like, I need you to just stop crying on camera or what. But she dabs them tears and she lets them know that this scene is over. Next scene, we have Marceau and Tisha, okay? Dr. Francis corners them and says, let's have some alone time. Let's chit chat. Marceau says that they have a traditional marriage and that they never had any problems in that marriage until the last 4 years, basically since they've been on the show. And now it is constant critique. Then Tisha chimes in, but it's not helpful at all. And she says, God gave me my husband for a reason. And I don't know if they call it being obedient or being submissive, but I trust my husband that God blessed me with. And as soon as Tisha says, I don't know if it's called being obedient or submissive, Dr. Francis actually makes this face like he frowns at her like, what are you talking about? And then the producers added this chime or ding noise at the exact same time. Child, the shade. It was so amazing. Then Dr. Francis repeats what Tisha said because you can tell he didn't want to mess anything up. Like, I want to make sure I'm hearing you right. Because literally in season 3, you were saying that you wanted Marceau to respect you as an equal partner, as a wife, as a mother, as a businesswoman. And now you're saying you want to be obedient and submissive. That's 2 different things, Tisha. But Marceau can tell by the look in Dr. Francis's eyes that he's being judged. So he says, listen, I don't make unilateral decisions. And Dr. Francis says, oh, you don't? Because now we're thinking, well, what about that damn trip to Africa, sir? But Marceau says, no, I don't. And even though he was getting his natural born life with how Dr. Francis was talking to Louis, Marceau became Louis within 60 seconds, okay? Then Marceau said, I discuss everything with my wife, okay? We discuss everything together, and I don't discount her because if I did, I wouldn't have married her. And Marceau was real hyped when he said it too. And Dr. Francis said, well, let me wrap this up real quick, okay? He said one of the biggest mistakes people make is trying to argue the truth when the truth doesn't require arguing. It stands by itself. And Tisha and Marceau looked at each other like this MF here, like they were pissed. They made fun of Tisha and Louis the entire time, okay? Talking about respect the expert, listen to the expert. The same applies to them. And the last scene is Nutty Buddy Maurice and his wife, Kimmy, okay? Dr. Francis found them on the porch. They were eating, I guess, a late night snack. Maurice jumped right into it. He told Dr. Francis that he believes Kimmy should have sex twice a day with him, okay? Dr. Francis said, did you consider that she has rights to her own body? Maurice said, well, yeah. Then Kimmy chimes in, of course, and she seemed a little offended, and she said, he knows that I have rights to my own body, but his problem is that he discounts the other responsibilities I have, because after we have sex, he just lays in the bed, turns on the TV, and watch football. But I have to clean up, do chores, take care of his son, meal prep, whatever other responsibilities I have going on. And he's just waiting for round 2. Kimmy says as a type A personality, it's just hard for her to figure out how to schedule sex in all of these other things. Dr. Francis says, well, if you're a type A personality, you'll get those other things done so that you can have sex with your husband. Then Kimmy turns into Louis and she starts talking back to Dr. Francis. Well, you don't think I know that? You're preaching to the choir. Of course I asked him to do this. Of course we've done this. Of course I've done that. And while Kimmy's head is exploding, popping off at Dr. Francis, Maurice is sitting there quiet as a church mouse. And then he looks at Dr. Francis, shrugs his shoulders like, I don't give an F. She's my wife. Those are her wifely duties, and she's gonna do them. That's how I feel. Then Dr. Francis tells Maurice, her body doesn't belong to you for sex whenever you want it. If you respect her, you'll help her, okay? And then when you're ready, when she's ready, then she can share herself with you. And you could tell those words went in one ear and out the other, okay? And that's how the scene ends. So you guys, let me know what y'all think about all of this. Like this video, subscribe to my channel. Go ahead, talk to me in the comments. Let me know if y'all thought this was a good episode. And I will catch you all on the next one.